Would you stand for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone to our January 22nd Pelican Marsh Foundation Board meeting. Paul will take a roll call, certify the quorum, by proof notice.
We got Bill Mulcahy, George Custis, Natasha Monks, Ryan McDonald, Lee Wilbur, Collington, and Frank Canistra here, so we have full quorum, and notice was posted in support with Florida statute.
Okay, thanks, Paul. Paul sent out to all the board members copies of the notes from the last board meeting. So everybody had an opportunity to review those. Any questions, comments? And I get a motion to approve. Jose's motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, those were approved. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Since our last board meeting was held before the end of the year, and the February Pelican Marsh brief has not yet been published, I wanted to take a few minutes today to share several updates that residents will soon see in print, and to provide a snapshot of where things stand as we begin 2026. First, I want to wish everybody a happy and healthy, exciting new year. It seems like we're a few weeks in already, so this year's already off to a strong start, and it's been great to see the continued level of engagement across the community. I'd also like to thank the board, Paul Madry, and the entire Pelican Marsh staff for the energy and professionalism they continue to bring to everything we do. We kicked off the new year in great fashion with a very well attended New Year's celebration at Courtside, featuring a band, the Wayward Souls. It was fun and a festive evening, and a terrific way to bring residents together. I want to extend a special thanks to Susan Cousins and the Courtside team, as well as Paul and his staff, for putting together such a well-run event. Even with the cooler temperatures, we added additional heaters, which kept everyone comfortable and made it a memorable night. Turning to facilities and planning, I want to briefly touch on the community center parking and expansion discussions. The parking lot lease contract with Pelican Marsh Golf Club continues to move forward, while additional county and resident approvals will still be required. Having a clear plan in place to address parking needs and support potential future community center expansion represents an important step forward. We should have, I think, before the next board meeting, a fully, we'll at least be able to have a final lease in place, and hopefully we'll be able to report and get that executed. So we're real close to having that done. We continue to meet with the county officials to ensure that all requirements are clearly understood as we evaluate potential expansion options. Over the coming months, we'll also be working with architects, the board's building expansion subcommittee, to begin reviewing preliminary concepts. In fact, we're meeting again this Friday, tomorrow, with the architect to further refine and clarify what features a potential expansion may offer. As always, residents will be kept informed as this process progresses, and will proceed thoughtfully and deliberately. In addition, I want to share an update related to the overall community center campus experience. Earlier this week, we met with the landscape architect to begin developing a longer-term plan focused on how residents experience the community center as they arrive, they park, and walk towards the pro shop, the pickleball courts, tennis courts, and the surrounding amenities. This planning effort is looking holistically at pedestrian flow, gathering areas, and visual continuity throughout the campus. Potential areas of focus include the community center entrance, key walkways, areas around the fire pit, and the central courtyard. The objective is to improve the functionality and enhance the overall experience while remaining consistent with the character of the community. We now have a draft, two-phase landscaping improvement plan envisioned to be implemented over approximately 2 years. This draft plan will be presented in February. Importantly, we are carefully planning the use of funds for these phases so they align appropriately with and do not preclude a potential larger building expansion project. The goal is to develop a thoughtful, coordinated approach that can be reviewed by the board, shared with the community for input and approval. While this work is still in the planning stages, it reflects a continued focus on making well-considered improvements to shared spaces used by residents every day. I also want to briefly mention a community meeting that took place earlier this week. On Tuesday, 5 p.m., several representatives from the county board, the county joined us to present information on future widening of roads surrounding Pelican Marsh, including Airport Pulling Road, Vanderbilt Beach Road, and Goodlet Frank Road. It was a very informative presentation with a packed house and strong resident engagement, including many thoughtful questions and answers. We appreciate the county taking the time to meet directly with our community and keep residents informed about long-term transportation planning. Looking ahead to infrastructure improvements within Pelican Marsh, residents will begin to see progress this spring on the 41 Gatehouse project, which is scheduled to start shortly after Easter and be completed in the late fall. As the project moves closer to construction, additional information and updates will be shared by the CDD so residents know what to expect. I'm also pleased to report that the final permitting has been received for the expanded paved patio seating area adjacent to Court 7. Construction is expected to be completed around the time the February newsletter is issued, providing additional seating and improved functionality for residents enjoying the courts. On the health and wellness front, we'll be expanding services in response to resident demand. Additional massage therapists and other health and fitness contractors will be added in the coming months, improving availability, flexibility, and access to the wellness services throughout the community. Winter sports leagues are now fully underway, including tennis, pickleball, and bocce, with strong participation across all programs. It's great to see so much enthusiasm and engagement across the community, and we wish all Pelican Marsh teams and players continued success throughout the season. Looking ahead, I want to remind everybody about a community softball and barbecue event scheduled for February 15th at Veterans Park. This casual and fun event is a great opportunity to enjoy friendly competition and connect with neighbors. The event is being coordinated by Lynn Atkinson with Brian McAdon and Frank Canistra leading on the field. And food will be catered by Mickle Bob's Barbecue. Residents interested in participating may sign up at the community center. Finally, live music at Courtside Restaurant will continue throughout 2026 on Sunday and Thursday evenings, and we encourage residents to mark their calendars and enjoy these community gatherings. With cooler winter weather now upon us, the fire pit has also become a popular gathering spot, offering another welcoming space to relax and connect. As we move further into the year, we're looking ahead to a calendar filled with engaging events, enhanced amenities, and continued progress across the community. Just want to thank everyone for your ongoing involvement, support, and positive spirit. It's what truly makes Pelican Marsh a special place to live. And thanks. That's my president's report. Paul, I'll turn it over to you for manager's report.
Thanks, Joe. So activities really picked up around the community center now that the season's here. We're starting to see parking spaces to fill up, especially on days when other activity events are scheduled. So we appreciate those who are able to walk or ride their bikes to the community center. And if you need to drive, to try to carpool if possible with others. And please make sure you're parking within the lines of the space so we can utilize all the spaces in the parking lot. We've noticed across a few times over the past few weeks where we have a couple cars coming in a little crooked, taking pretty much 2 spots up. So we appreciate you guys following the role there. Being busy, obviously, activities picked up. I've got a slide to show you, some slides showing you how the activities picked up with activity levels. I'll pull that up now. Okay. You can see where activity really started picking up in November when the season started, with a slight dip in November, or excuse me, and slight dip in December, the holidays. However, I believe when we report next month, we'll have numbers for January, which you should see big increases in all the activity levels across our amenities. I'll scroll through this pickleball. Tennis. Very people in the gym don't go on the holidays because they kept the activity straight through December. And then group fitness classes. And then spa services.
Well, what does the gym include? Anybody who checks in on the bench readers?
Pardon
He's talking about the activities. Is that anybody who sees?
me? Yeah, those are swipes. But we go through and erase duplicates because people sometimes swipe in twice when they go to the bathroom, whatever else. So.
Yeah.
And then with the bocce league and other activities.
Quick question on bocce there. On the other graphs that showed, the blue line was, distinct players. But I don't see that filled here.
So we have been combining activities of bocce. We could I can work with the department to break out bocce individually. So we have just bocce numbers.
It seems like it would be good for the board to be able to compare the different sports and amenities
Okay,
by people.
we can do that for next month.
Thank you.
Okay. As Joe mentioned, our permit was finally approved for the installation of that patio with shade sails along Port 7. They're actually here today marking out where the footers will go, and on Monday they'll be here digging for the footers, and then Tuesday pouring the concrete for the footers. So if all goes well, we should have that system installed and up by the following week, and then we can schedule to have the pavers installed. So my goal is to have everything done and completed by no later than mid-February. Members who have not signed up for electronic voting were recently sent an email with instructions how to sign up. We still have about 20% of members who have not signed up for electronic voting. And the more members we can get signed up for electronic voting, the less we have to print and mail the annual packets along with any other required documents, which can cost thousands of dollars each year. So we encourage everyone to get the chance, answer the email and get signed up. We're still waiting for Comcast to roll out their new program where when you call Comcast from the phone number you get registered with them, that you can reach a direct line to a live agent. Was supposed to be rolled out by now, but I don't know what's going on, but we've been working with Comcast over the past week, trying to get that date nailed down. And as soon as I find out, I will let everyone know with instructions with the email going out, how to use that new system moving forward. On housekeeping note, we are still finding on occasions clay being tracked in the community center, and Susan's been reporting sometimes people tracking clay in the bar area still. This clay puts extra wear on the floors and in on the gym equipment if you go to the gym. So if you're playing tennis or bocce and then plan on going to the community center or visiting courtside after play, please make sure your shoes are cleaned properly, or even better yet, bring an extra pair of shoes to change into, as the clay is hard to remove from the shoes. Lastly, just a reminder that Valentine's Day is just a few weeks away, so don't forget to buy that card candy or perhaps dinner reservation in the courtside to celebrate your better half for this year. And that's my report.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Brian, you want to give us a treasurer's report?
Absolutely, let's have Paul pull it up for us. Okay, so for the year ending December 31st, we ended in a deficit of $27,000 versus our budget. We do have a cumulative surplus year on year of about $230,000 at the end of 2025. Majority of that difference is really the income tax expense that we've talked about throughout the year. We had to pay income taxes related to the interest income predominantly that we had going back from 23, 24, and then 25. Throughout the year, we've talked about overs and unders and highlighted some of the additional expense items. You may recall that, we spent $9,000 repairing our parking lot lights this year. We spent $12,000 putting in a new HVAC maintenance system. Our utility expenses were up this year. The county raised rates for water and garbage. And food and beverage, you may recall that we installed a new point of sale system and bought a new portable bar, which is about $20,000. All those items were offset by items that were below budget. For instance, our insurance expense, our landscaping, and what we designated for special projects were all under budget, netting us to where we landed. Food and beverage, we were very close to our next threshold of $1.1 million in sales. We finished the year at $1,099,000, highest year that we've had in the operation of Courtside in our restaurant. If we do hit $1.1 million in 2026, the subsidy that we pay to Courtside goes down. If we hit $1.2 million, then a mechanism where there's a revenue sharing mechanism with the foundation kicks in. So I encourage everyone to continue to support Courtside. From a reserve and capital perspective, we had resale fees. We collected 79 net homes during the year for $593,000, and this exceeded our budget by 14. As always, our treasury report and the details are available on the website. Being year end, I wanted to add a few more graphs to give you a little more color of where our funds have gone over the last year or so. So if we just scroll forward, Paul.
Sorry.
Okay, so first I just want to highlight that this is all in thousands of dollars. There's a header there that wasn't corrected. At year end, we had $1.5 million in cash, made up of either checking accounts, money markets. And line 3, we have made a decision amongst the finance committee to stay away from T-bills in the immediate future. The interest market is currently backwardated, and there's really no incentive for us to buy 6 to 12 month T-bills relative to the money market rate. So that's a conscious decision we have made as a finance committee. We will continue to monitor that, obviously, to maximize the interest rates available to us. Also want to point out that the operating fund on line 4, $891,000, does include the cable subsidy from the new cable contract. They have paid us a subsidy upfront for the 7-year term of this contract that we will take to income over the 7 years. Paul, can you click forward, please? Okay, the replacement reserve. I tried to summarize some of the details that for the year, but more importantly, I want to give you a feel for where we're going to be spending money in the future. So in 2025, the main expenditure on the replacement reserve was $45,000 to paint this building, the pro shop, and add the coach lights. In 2026, we anticipate spending $311,000. That's on line 20 under 2026. And that's predominantly for modifying this ballroom. We have $192,000 this year, $40,000 in 27, and $87,000 in 28. Really for beautification of the lobby and the ballroom, upgrading everything you really see, carpeting, the curtains, and so forth. So we'll be putting a lot of money into updating our ballroom. The other item that I want to highlight is in 2027, we are planning on spending $110,000 to replace all the fencing around the tennis courts. And the 2 items I have in yellow are expenditures that are planned in 2028 around the fitness center and equipment, and in 2026, $70,000, $69,000 around playground equipment. I have those highlighted in yellow because if we move forward with a building expansion, we really need to take into account how those projects fit in. For instance, if we're going to, say, move the playground up 25 feet, we don't want to put in new equipment and then have to replace it. So it's just a cautionary tale of, you know, before we jump in and make these expenditures, we have to look at the overall picture for the community. The graph is a little small here, I probably should have put that on a separate page, but basically it just shows the ups and downs of expenditures through the next 5 years. And you see that we have funding in red to be rateable throughout the next 5 years to make sure we're meeting our spending needs in green. Thanks, Paul, that's good. Next, we go to the capital reserve. I'm often asked, you know, where do we spend all our money? So the chart on the left is a 2-year summary of where we spent funds from a capital perspective. You'll see that we've spent over $500,000 on court sports, making improvements, line 4, the pickleball courts, but also improvements to our seating areas for both pickleball and tennis. I highlight this as at this point, the only commitments we have outstanding are for the seating area, line 17, for the tennis court. Joe mentioned that we also are planning a 2-year landscaping plan that will be in the neighborhood of about $75,000 to $85,000 per year. We're really trying to take a conservative approach towards other capital improvements because we want to build a little bit of a nest egg if we do move forward with a community center expansion. As you see in the chart on the right, you know, if we continue to take the savings from the cable contract and we continue to have about 40 home sales per year dedicated towards capital, we should be able to build close to $2 million in available capital funds that we can then spend on the community center.
All right, Ryan, question of clarification. You said per year for landscaping, is that a 2-year expense?
Two-year phase, yeah.
Then that's capitalized, it's not operating expense after that is. regular
None of
maintenance.
it is operating expense, it's all capital funds, it's like $75,000 to $85,000 for each of the 2 years.
And then we're done with that.
And then that would complete what we see as a beautification of the campus.
And it makes sense for us to kind of focus on the landscaping on the front of the property as you come in.
Right.
You'll see some plans on that. In fact, I was supposed to pick them up this morning and I visited with the airport and stuff. So we'll have an opportunity to take a look. I haven't seen finals, but then we're gonna have to do, so as Brian said, we're gonna do the fencing for the tennis court, so it doesn't make sense for us to do stuff around the tennis courts. We can do that at the same time we're doing the fencing.
All right, yep, got it.
It says capital reserve. There's actually either a capital account or a reserve account.
We have a replacement reserve and we have a capital fund, that really should say capital fund, Jerry.
Kind of confusing.
Understood, it was, yes,
Yeah, okay.
that's all I had unless there's any questions. Once again, the details are available on the website.
Well, thank you, Brian. Very good report. Any questions?
Oh, wait.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna just go around the horn and ask for any updates. Let me start, I'll go to my right. George, anything to update on court sports?
Nothing new on court sports this one.
Okay, Nathaniel, DRC?
Nothing on DRC.
Okay, thank you both for your detailed reports. Uwe Fitness?
Not a lot going on, but if you recall, at the last meeting, we approved increase in spa fees.
Yeah.
So that's being implemented. There were some housekeeping issues that I always discussed that continue to make improvement. Quite a few housekeeping improvements were made. If you're interested, I have a list of some of the housekeeping improvements that were made inside the gym, which was the focus of the committee for the last couple of meetings. And the committee is quite focused on and interested in how the building expansion might work and how it would affect the gym, of course. So those are the key priorities of the committee at the moment.
Okay, Thanks, Uwe.
And I guess Uwe, it's nice to continue to highlight that your chairperson as well as the director of fitness are both on that committee.
Right, so we have two people on the committee for that reason, because it directly affects the next plan.
Okay. Thank you. Frank, any update on bocce?
Rolling along as usual. Winter League play began on January 6th. We had something 60 some odd teams, consisting of 4 or 6, players per team, which is great, including yours truly now. So I am now been a part of pickleball, tennis, and now bocce. So it's great. If you haven't played, if you haven't attempted, go back and try. We're also having, bocce committee is hosting a clinic on January 29th at 10 a.m. So for those of you who want to learn or want to brush up on your skills, January 29th at 10 a.m. Bocce is hosting a clinic. So, and other than that, that's what we have.
All right, thank you, Frank. And then lastly, Keith, I know you and I sat next to each other at the roads and transportation committee, if you want to, any update there?
I think that covered it all for everybody, and that information is available on the website. If anybody wants to look into it further, or they have questions about it, please feel free to access it via our website. I think we have a link, is that right, Paul? And then onto the county website. Another activity that we've got, of course, is the gatehouse. You mentioned that earlier. Work is supposed to start, physical work is supposed to start in late April or May. Project planning is already underway. Obviously, we're going to meet with the project manager here in February, so that'll kind of kick off that activity. And then lastly, as you discussed in Uwe's gym sections, the building expansion activities, a subcommittee meeting tomorrow. Talk about that activity and get that rolling as well. So a lot of good ideas on that already. I think it'll be interesting to all of us to see how that evolves over the next couple of weeks, and maybe some visualization of what it's going to look like.
From that meeting on Tuesday night, which I attended, but there was quite a long question and answer session at the end. Was there anything that stood out in that question and answer? Any particular issues that residents raised that you want to comment on?
Nothing that really caught my mind. I don't know about others that were there. If there was something that
I think there were some issues around, people were raising their hands around, and I actually had people pull me aside. What did you think about the meeting? And, you know, my response is that, you know, just like the gatehouse, once the gatehouse starts, you know, construction, and I know I can go out, but I can't come back in. I mean, I just changed my paths to get in and out of the community. And that'll be probably similar to what other people are gonna experience as we go through these road projects. But, you know, I think there was some, there's some thoughts by people in the community in terms of we should have lighting here and we should have, you know, U-turns at certain places and that sort of thing. I'm not a road specialist and that sort of thing, but it seems like these guys have been planning this stuff since 2020.
Right.
And so, and I don't know how much real input we have or objections we have or et cetera. So.
It's really more informational, right? It's
Yeah, it was
not
input for sure.
to provide input even at this point. The questions that I think mostly predominantly around Vanderbilt Beach exit was that U-turn that's going to be installed over there. So as you exit on Vanderbilt Beach and you want to go east, you're going to have to go west first, cross over the 3 lanes, make a U-turn, and then head back to the east. That's going to be, it's different than what we have today. It's probably much safer because you won't be making a left turn out of there, trying to get halfway across and then hanging up in the middle. That lots of traffic coming the other direction as well. I mean, I'm not an engineer for traffic patterns either, but I think what I saw made sense given the current situations that we have to do. Obviously, the community continues to grow, the volume of traffic is going to continue to grow, and they're doing their best to try to help manage it.
So the one thing I picked up from that meeting that I was pleased about, I saw there's a proposed bridge expansion for Goodlet. Now that's still a couple of years away.
Right.
They're still planning it, but he said, if I understood the project manager correctly, he said they're going to try and do that bridge expansion without shutting down traffic on Pelican Marsh Boulevard. I think that was a concern that had been raised.
That was the commitment they made.
So I think we should keep an eye on that and sort of see, make sure they can, you know, keep that commitment not to close Pelican Marsh Boulevard.
Right. Okay.
As well as the sound barriers that they said they're gonna evaluate. Not only for Portofino and those communities, but even for our campus, you know, if you're out here playing bocce, you know, at 5 o'clock at night, it's pretty noisy, so, you know. if we can push towards that, I think that'd be helpful also.
Illinois, the expansion's on the east. on
No,
the side.
I understand, yeah.
Yeah, and they're gonna end up putting some sort of sound barrier, they're gonna have to. So, but Goodwood is, it's more than 10 years old, 5 years old, that Goodwood expansion goes back almost 15 years. We talked about it when our first people bought in Portofino, which was 98. So, and it's the last thing on their priority list, it'll get pushed again. If they don't have enough money.
It's not funded.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all for your updates on your individual committees. Brian, thank you in advance for running through the new business items. So we can all chime in as well.
Very good. So, first new business item is, as we saw, our courtside sales continue to improve. We continue to make investments into courtside. As I mentioned, we spent some money with a portable bar, some other upgrades this year. They have asked us for a new fryer, some additional refrigeration, and some more dining chairs. Cumulatively, those funds are in the neighborhood of about $10,000. Those do fall within our operating expenses, so I would entertain a motion for us to approve a new fryer, additional refrigeration, and more chairs for courtside up to $10,000.
So motion.
No second. All in favor?
Item 10.2. Approval of policy for notice of proposed rule amendments being posted on the Pelican Marsh website to be made through the Pelican Marsh brief. In short, this allows us to use the Pelican Marsh brief as a conduit or communication tool when making changes to our internal documents. So we have to have this in place before we start using it. So I would entertain a motion to approval for policy of notice of proposed rule amendments to be posted on the Pelican, that are posted on the Pelican Marsh website to be made through the Pelican Marsh brief. So motion,
Yes.
do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, item 10.3 is modifications to our bylaws 5.10, which refer to the participation of committee members within the foundation boards. And the majority of the changes are really just cleanup of language. But one thing that was a inadvertent consequence of how the amendments were last written is that members of the CDD are precluded from being committee members. So the language that we have forth here, specifically 5.10C, item 3, allows members of CDD to also sit on a foundation committee. So I would motion that we accept, as we have outlined and circulated the changes to item 5.10. I motion that we accept these new changes into our bylaws.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The benefit is somebody on the CDD can now sit on one of our committees, which is one individual's very
Years
helpful.
ago, we made that, is that they couldn't serve on this board and that board,
They still cannot,
Still cannot. We're just talking about,
but
just committees. Okay,
yeah, the intent was committees, yeah.
like pickleball and
yeah,
each one of these committees that we're talking about.
Okay, 10.4. So this is related to proposed amendments to our governing documents. There are two changes. One is about the approval level that the board has in 7.4B. Since 2008, the board has been given up to $250,000 to approve without community approval. That dollar amount has not changed as building costs and inflation has occurred. The finance committee had made a recommendation during 2025 that dollar amount be increased to $325,000. The second item related to funding policy is 7.4D. And this goes to how the capital funds or resale funds are allocated through our books. And right now, there's a method that these funds go through our operating account first, and then they get allocated to our replacement reserve and our capital reserve. It makes a tremendous amount of gyrations from an accounting standpoint. not until year end, when we sit down with the auditors, do we get our accounting records back adjusted to GAAP, generally accounting principles. And it's very hard to follow the allocation of these funds throughout the various books. The proposal as written basically would say that the resale capital fees first go to our replacement reserve up to 110% of the current year's requirements for the replacement reserve. And then everything after that goes to the capital fund. It's just a lot simpler, cleaner way of allocating funds. So having said that, those two items require the approval of the community of our governing documents. So the ask for this board is to approve sending the voting proxy to membership related to those two specific funding items, 7.4B and 7.4D. I don't know if anyone has any questions or comments related to that.
Yeah, I have a couple of comments on that. So they're fairly technical. And we're asking the community to kind of vote on this. What steps can we take to sort of disseminate that information that is very clear in your head to 2,000 doors at Pelican Marsh?
I guess as we go through the voting process, we try to set up some kind of examples to try to make it clearer as we, so they can understand
Can
it.
you maybe flow chart it, Brian, the way it is now versus the way you want it to be as cash flows in? That, for me, visually would be helpful, but just see how.
Yeah, your explanation just now was great, because it kind of puts a lot of color and context.
Right.
I'm afraid that we just
30
put this
people
out.
here, and so people look at it, they may need a little bit more explanation.
Sure,
yeah.
Draw a picture.
Yep,
Why don't you just have a finance, meeting just for that particular item? People in person, they come, fine, if they don't come, fine, because when they get this, I can tell you right now, 95% of people vote yes, and they don't even know what the hell they're signing off on. Okay,
Paul, do we need
this
to?
changes what this whole institution was set up on. Okay, we started here on a zero budget base, balanced every year. Okay, and with the keynotes for the first board, which I was on, okay, we said this place has to be run as a business. Balanced budget, increases matching the CPI each year, not to exceed, and additional expenses only incurred that benefit the entire community, not three guys or two people. So that's the reason that thing was set up with a dollar consequence and the spread to the three items. Okay, and I know the accountants don't like it, but the rule there is that people would always be protected knowing where the money is going. Okay, you want to put 110% toward reserves out of the resale fees. Okay,
which is basically what we do anyway.
yeah, but the truth of the matter is overfunding reserves doesn't help anybody that's here today. It helps people that buy 5 years from now. Okay, that's the biggest fallacy in the country.
Just tell me.
Well, but clarification, Jerry, is the way it's worded is that the board could up to 110%. That the board would probably normally just fund the reserve as it's required, but they could not fund it more than 110%.
It says shall be allocated first to the replacement reserve fund to the amount of 110, not up to.
Yes.
It says
Oh,
to the
that-
amount
Oh,
of.
okay.
Yeah, and it's really a 10% contingency on your replacement items for that current calendar
In
year.
case of
Okay,
something like.
okay, so
And then next year,
If
you
you
do
over-
an evaluation of what your fund balance is versus your needs.
If you overfunded your balance on 2026, then the amount that's required in 2027 was then fallen because you overfunded. So that problem would solve itself the next year, right, Jerry?
Not necessarily, if you haven't had a reduction in sales. Okay, which fortunately hasn't affected us over the last 15 years. You're gonna have some major issues on your hand because we've been living off the resale fee, let's face it.
But the resale fee average is over 100, over the history of the corporation, it's over 100 houses. And we only need about half that many to fund the replacement
I
account.
understand, but
So-
you went down to 74 this year and then you.
Yeah, but in order for it to drop to 50%, people would have to
34.
stop dying.
So.
I don't see it. People would have to stop dying for resales to drop too low and too long.
Well,
I don't see that happening
I
until,
can pick up the phone and call Baltimore, we can arrange it, okay?
until the lamb lies with the
Well,
lion.
No, it's just, I think to give the population, okay, a chance to hear about this, okay, because it's a piece of paper that goes out and vote on it. Okay, and this is changing a lot of the complexion of how we finance, that's all. The increase is minimal. I'm surprised you're only asking for 325. The other question is, why are you doing that now when you don't even have an idea of how much money you guys need for the new projects that you're envisioning?
Well, the new project would still need separate approval.
I know that, but it's nice to know what you need before you ask for more now.
This is more housekeeping.
Yes, the increase of the amount to 325. You may recall came out of the long-term planning workshop that we had last January. It was a recommendation that was sent to the finance committee. The finance committee said, yes, you know what, this hasn't been touched in 2008. It's a good thing to update this. They debated whether or not to tie it to CPI or another index and decided that, you know, if we look at it every 5 or 10 years, it's enough. That's the history of it.
Yeah, but you know, you're gonna be spending a heck of a lot of money, okay, in the next 18 months. Find out what that is, don't even have the first report from your planner. Okay, are you gonna spend 350,000, you're gonna spend 750,000?
I think there is topics, but
This item is not tied to the building expansion at all.
No,
It's not-
understand. But you're gonna be spending money
Right.
down the road. And your criteria that you're setting up now might affect you down the road.
So we vote on it.
I just,
I do like this
I would
idea.
like to know what I've got to spend before I criticize myself now today and say, well, I'm gonna live within this framework.
He does have a good idea that whenever this goes to the proxy, that we could offer to have the people come listen to a meeting of a finance person, answer their questions.
Well, I actually like this because this gives us some idea of some of the questions we might see and then come back. So I think.
My question is we put this out there, have any more than the people in this room?
No.
No.
You don't know. Yeah.
I mean, we could do it, we could say, we could set up, we could set up.
Sterling should do a better job spelling it out the best we can for somebody who might pick it up without coming to the meeting to try to understand it.
Yeah, we can do both.
But there is a benefit for us of simplifying this. Before I was on the board and I picked up the financial statements and I'm an accountant by trade. It was hard to follow gyrations of how we're moving funds between these 3 accounts. This tremendously simplifies that.
And I think when we brought on a bunch of new finance committee people this year, they were scratching their heads looking at what we had done
If
historically.
you cut class in school, you gotta pay for it later.
So,
It's the big thing that.
I mean, I completely understand it, I support it, but I'm only one person. The question is, you know, I guess as we go through this process to get this approved by the residents, we should.
I
you
think
know,
74 is okay, raise the number, that's not an issue that.
They're both 7.4. 7.4B is raising.
I tell you, the other issue that you got, okay, is you're removing, okay, the fact that the money was originally intended, okay, to settle any debt, mortgage, you're wiping that out.
That's correct.
That's correct, right? That's the big issue.
And the reason I'm wiping it out is the board should be entrusted with managing those funds. The board doesn't have to be tied down to a specific duration of how to have to put $1 here, $1 here, and $1 here.
Yeah, but
I
every,
mean, debt is debt. We owe it as a foundation one way or the other. If we enter into debt for this community center, we have an obligation to pay it off. If it's a 7-year agreement, we have an obligation to pay it off in the best way for the foundation. If that means paying it off as quickly as we can, then that's what we should be doing as a board. I don't see how having it in writing makes any difference at all,
well, first of all, you have a budget, you're supposed to live within the budget.
which we do. We have an
Okay.
operating budget that we
Okay.
report on every month, Jerry.
Right, I'm not arguing that, okay, but that's the control, okay, that the only control that the residents have. Okay, but this
No,
building only got built. Because we told them that we had an ability to reduce the $1 million that we had to borrow. Without increasing the assessment.
And Jerry, if we do an expansion to this building, say a $3 million project, we're not going to ask for approval from the community without telling them how it's gonna be paid for. We've been planting the seed for the last 6 months of saying, hey, we have a new cable contract that saves us community $400,000 a year. If everyone is willing to set that aside, we can, in essence, pay for the building through those 7 years.
Yeah, but that $400,000, they don't see that because they're paying the same price they paid before.
We know, that's why it's not painful for them.
9 out of 10 guys on the street are not gonna reason it. Okay, you say.
Anybody else in the community have any questions or comments with respect to this item?
I'm just. You're not.
We,
gonna-
we appreciate your comments.
I understand that,
We
but I
appreciate your
have,
comments. Appreciate your comments. You're one person. I'm supportive of this. Does anybody else in the community have any questions about this? Okay,
I have a just technical question to Paul. Paul, how much of a quorum do we need? But to change the governing documents, we need how many votes out of the 1900?
All right, so to change anything, you need to have a quorum at a duly called members meeting.
Mhm.
And that quorum is a minimum of 575 people, members.
Okay.
And at that quorum, at least half of those members have to be in favor.
Okay. That's the part that I think is, make sure we get enough people excited about this item that the board would like to do this to run a better, to run better. And then convincing enough households to actually return the ballot on that, and that would be 500.
And the plan is to have this at proxy at the annual meeting, so if we want to do a better job of describing this process to the membership, we have to do it sooner than later, so members can
Right.
be.
Right, but the intent is for it to be part of our annual meeting
Package,
and the
right.
package that goes out for voting for
that.
board of directors and so forth.
Good
So all we need to do is put some more clarity around how this flows for people.
Yeah.
And part of that packet that I send out, I can do a 1 or 2 pager, more in depth describing what Brian talked about.
so having said all that, we looking to approve 10.4?
Yeah, I think the process is the board needs to approve the fact that we want to go to the membership
Yes,
to get their approval to amend the governing documents.
I motion that we do that.
I'll
I
second.
that. Okay.
You can second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We've already established the 10.5. There's no, nothing further in 10.5. So move on to 11. Any board member comments? Okay, resident comments? Okay, can I get a motion to?
Wait,
Sorry.
Just one quick question.
Yeah.
That 400,000 on savings. Is not being passed on to the community, that's just money that's accruing here.
So as part of the 2026 budget approval, back in November, we presented a budget that in essence took the savings of the overall cable, and we used 25% of it for cost of living increases to our budget, and the remaining 75% or $300,000 we are setting aside into a building fund. If we expand the building, conceptually, we could ask, we could put forth to the board to approve a budget that continues that during the life of this contract. The assessment, the annual assessment to the community actually went down $10 year on year. So it was a win-win. We were able to take that savings on the cable contract, set it aside in case we do the building. If we don't do the building, it'll just be applied against future budgets and reduce everyone's annual assessment.
How good at this? Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
No, I like you.
You want to talk more? So we get,
Yeah, all right, so
we get a
We
first,
should do an accounting demo if anyone would like.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all very much.
Yeah.